Hello and welcome to the table. I'm your host, Teen Wolf, and today on the lore table, we are going to be talking about the lore for Wilds of Eldraine. Because I have nothing else to talk about, there's nothing to really do for Flesh and Blood right now, because I don't have any decks built. There's nothing to do for Magic, because I don't have any decks built, and I'll explain why that is in the next video. But let's just talk about the lore for Wilds of Eldraine. So, kicking it off, we are going to be starting our story talking about the Phyrexian War and a very, very heavy loss to the Kenrith family, because during the events of the Phyrexian War, Castle Ardenvale was destroyed, and during its destruction fell two great warriors of the Eldraine realm, King Kenrith and his wife, Linden, fell to the Phyrexian threat, leaving their legacy to Will and Rowan. So, Will and Rowan are now back in Eldraine, and for some reason they can't planeswalk out of it. And just so you know, their spark is kind of connected, so if one can't planeswalk, neither of them can planeswalk. If one can planeswalk, they can both planeswalk, that kind of stuff. So they're both trapped there, and they both now have to basically rule together. Will is the king, Rowan is the advisor. Will is being bullied, being called the boy king. Rowan is mad. And then this Imidane character comes about and says, "Hey, I'm a general from the old army. I want to fight you to prove and see if you're actually a worthy king." And Will's like, okay. So they battle. Will freezes her. Imidane cheats and gets this fire hammer, but to be fair, it's Eldraine, there's magical weapons everywhere. So Imidane uses a fire hammer and is beating the living crap out of Will, and Rowan's mad about that. And Rowan actually sends a giant bolt of lightning, breaking an entire mountain in half. So that's insane, and Will's like, and Imidane's bodyguards are like, and Imidane's like pissing her pants and running away like a little baby, because, yeah, that's scary. When somebody splits a mountain in half and they're not even a planeswalker anymore, that is scary. So yeah, Will is now continuing to be bullied, but instead of being called the boy king, he's being called the boy king who has his sister fight for him. So, yay, more bullying. But Will kind of pushes all that aside and is focusing on the wicked slumber, planning what to do about it in the new base of operations for Will and Rowan and the whole Kenrith family in Castle Vantris. The blue castle, the one that's floating above the clouds and whatnot. So Will is planning how to stop the wicked slumber, and Rowan's like, okay, Will, you're kind of focusing on the wicked slumber, but at the same time, you're focusing on being a good king. I want to actually help our people and stop the wicked slumber from basically turning everybody to stone. But they're not stone, they're just sleeping forever, and they can't do anything forever. We gotta stop this. And Will's kind of focusing on it, but also focusing on being a worthy king. So Rowan goes out and is actually going to stop the wicked slumber. But we'll get back to that part of the story here in a bit. Because right now we need to transfer our attention to a brand new character, Kellen, who's a boy. But he's also supposedly half fairy, and everybody bullies him for that. Kind of like Will. Interesting, they're both getting bullied. Huh. But so anyways, Kellen's getting bullied by his friends, well, his human people in his village, in his home, and he's just walking through the forest, contemplating his life choices, and wondering who his father is, because his father apparently is where he gets his fairy half from, but his mom won't tell him about it. He's thinking about that, why his mom won't tell him. He's trying to think, will his fairy half of the family actually respect him for who he is, unlike his human half? I mean, his mom loves him, but all the other humans think that he's stupid. And it just sucks for Kellen. But then, as he's walking through the forest, he transports into this new realm. And this fairy lord-looking person comes about and says, "Hello there, Kellen. Are you worthy?" And Kellen's like, "Huh?" And he's like, "Are you like your father?" And Kellen's like, "Oh, you know my father?" And he's like, "I know your father. Are you worthy like your father?" And Kellen's just confused. He's like, "Who are you?" And he says, "I am Talion, Lord of the Fae." And he's like, "Cool. Why am I here?" And he's like, "Do you wish to stop the Wicked Slumber?" And he's like, "Yes, the Wicked Slumber is a very big threat and deal, and yeah, that's bad." And Talion's like, "All right, if you can stop the Wicked Slumber, I will tell you who your father is. But in order to stop the Wicked Slumber, you must bring me 3 artifacts from 3 different witches. Agatha's Soul Cauldron, to prove that you have beaten her in battle. Hilda's Ice Crown, to prove that you have beaten her in battle. And Ariette's Charmed Apple, to prove to me that you have beaten her in battle. Once you have brought me all 3 of the artifacts, the Wicked Slumber will disappear from your realm forever. And, as a bonus, you'll know who your father is." And Kellen's like, "Sweet. Let's go." And he goes to a village and has absolutely no clue what he's doing, but we'll get back to him in a bit. Because we need to transition back to Rowan. And Rowan's like chilling, she's walking around, she's kind of figuring out what to do. She's getting a message from Will saying, "Hey, what are you doing? I need you. Come back home, please." And Rowan's like, No. And all of a sudden, she just falls asleep for no reason, apparently. And she sees her parents. She sees her father, Kenrith. And to summarize, he says, "Come home, dear." And Rowan wakes up in the middle of a forest and is like, "Hey, I need to go to Ardenvale. Obviously, I don't need to go back to Castle Vantris, where my brother is, where he needs me. I need to go to Castle Ardenvale, because apparently that's gonna stop the Wicked Slumber, because that makes sense." So she goes there, and she's walking through Ardenvale, which is cracked, and it's war-ridden, and there are guys all over the place that are just frozen in time, her friends. But all of a sudden, they start attacking her, which is a bit strange. And the worst part is she has to cut down her old friends and family and loved ones. But after she gets through them, she sees someone familiar. Ashiok, the wicked manipulator. And everyone's like, "Oh, you're controlling him." And Ashiok's like, "I'm not." And Rowan's like, "What?" And Ashiok is like, "I will take you to her." And Rowan's confused, but she follows Ashiok for some weird reason, and she stumbles upon Ariette of the Charmed Apple. And Rowan's like, "Who are you?" And she said, "I am Ariette." And she's like, "Cool. Why are you doing this?" And Ariette goes on this little rant about how people who are in slumber, not the wicked slumber, but in slumber, they are at peace. They're living their finest lives in a dream, in their dream. They are living their dream life. Why do we need to stop that? And Rowan's like, "You know what? That does kind of make sense. There's all of this pain and suffering in the universe. Why not give our people something to look forward to? Why not give people the dream that they've always wanted?" And Rowan's like, "Okay, so what do you want me to do?" And Ariette's like, "Look, I know your mother." And Rowan's like, "Oh, you know my mother?" And Ariette's like, "Yes, because I am your aunt." I don't know why, but when I was reading the lore, I could have sworn she was going to say that she was Rowan's mother. And I was like, yep, who would have thought? But aunt, slight different twist than I thought, that I was expecting. But still, Ariette is Rowan's aunt. And Rowan's like, okay, I'll help you to make sure that the slumber does not get destroyed, because this seems like a good thing for our kingdom, even though everybody's gonna be asleep forever and ever and ever. And for some reason you won't be, and you'll be ruling over everybody, even though they're asleep, which seems a bit weird. But anyways, we get away from that bit of the story for a while, and we transition back to Kellen, who, oh by the way, got these magical little stick things from Talion that he has no clue what to do with. They're supposedly weapons, but he doesn't know how to use them. So that's good for him. So Kellen's just wandering about this little village. He has absolutely no clue what he's doing. And all of a sudden, he stumbles upon this red hooded lady, Ruby, the daring tracker. And she's like, you're the guy that's been looking around for witches. And he's like, yeah, not having too much success. I have no clue what I'm doing. And she's like, I can help you. And Kellen's like, really? Do you know where the witches are at? And she's like, yeah, I know where a couple of witches are. And I'll help you if you can help me find my brother. And Kellen's like, okay, find your brother, stop the witches, and we can stop the wicked slumber. And Ruby's like, you can stop the wicked slumber by finding these witches? And he said, yes, my lord has told me that if I do this, then yeah, the wicked slumber will be stopped. And Ruby's like, sweet. So then they start walking through the village, and all of a sudden, this knight comes about. And they're like, who's this? And the knight starts attacking them. And they run back the other direction, and all of a sudden, a ton of witch stalkers fly up at them. AKA giant wolves, basically. So they're in between a knight that's trying to kill them and a bunch of witch stalkers that are trying to kill him. But then the witch stalkers attack the knight, so they go by that, and the knight's just being destroyed by the witch stalkers. And then they stumble upon a little cottage where, for some reason, Imodane is getting cooked alive by Agatha. That's a thing. Her arm's gone. Agatha's like, I will feed you to my cauldron, and then I will eat you. So yeah, it's terrifying. So that's happening. Kellen just rushes in there and says, no, I will feed you to your cauldron. And he pushes her into a cauldron. And she dies. In her own cauldron. And Imodane just runs away. Again. Back home. Yep. And so that's happening, and all of a sudden, the knight comes through the window and says, you have defeated Agatha! My curse has been broken! And Kellen and Ruby are like, okay. And he removes his helmet and reveals that he is Ruby's brother. And Ruby's like, brother! And they have their little family reunion, and Kellen asks for help to pull the little thing out, the giant cauldron out, Agatha's cauldron out. So they do, and they poof back into Talion's realm, and he's like, you have brought the cauldron, proving that you have beaten Agatha in battle. Next, head to Hilda of the Icy Crown. Bring me her crown, proving to me that you have beaten her in battle. And then you will be one step closer to stopping the wicked slumber and knowing who your father is. And they poof out of his realm. And Ruby looks over at Kellen and is like, you serve the Lord of the Fae? And he's like, yeah. Is that a big deal? And she's like, yeah, it kind of is. You're way braver than I thought. And Kellen's like, I'll take that as a compliment. So then they're walking around. They have absolutely no clue where Hilda is. So they go to the magic mirror. But first they must go up the giant beanstalks. But they need somebody to help them up because they have no clue where they're going. So they hire Troyan Gutsy Explorer. And he, by the way, is not from this realm because he's a Vidalcan. Vidalcans don't exist in Eldraine, at least I don't think. So they climb up the beanstalk. And then they, to put it simply, they stumble upon these giants, and they see the Goose Mother, which is cool. But eventually they find their way to the thing of the place, to the magic mirror. They find their way to the magic mirror, and they ask it, where is Hilda's castle? And it reveals this giant castle on top of the biggest mountain in all of Eldraine, which you can actually see in the background of Up the Beanstalk, which should be either the art that you can see in the background, or I'll just pop the art of it up super quick and then transition back to Restless Vinestock art. But anyways, so yeah, they need to climb up that, and it's super cold. And Kellen and Ruby are given all of these clothes by Ruby's brother, Peter, I recall is his name. And he's like, once your nose starts to shiver, come back down. Don't endanger yourself more than you two kids have already done. And they're like, okay, we're not going to listen to you, but we're not going to say that out loud, so we're just going to go agree with you and see you back eventually, soon, later. Anyways, bye. So they go to Hilda's palace, and they're walking up, they're freezing their tushes off, and Hilda's kind of talking to Ruby, saying, why are you going up this far? You're going to kill yourself. You're going to freeze to death. You're good at this. You're good at that. And Ruby's like, we have to go up here. We have to stop the wicked slumber. We have to save Eldraine. And she's like, fine, have it your way. And she summons these giant snow golems. Yay! But Kellen, in his dying breath, asks for his father to help. And all of a sudden, those little stick things that Talion gave him worked, and he used them to slash those ice golems apart. And then he fell to the ground and passed out. And Ruby had to carry his lazy butt up the rest of the mountain. But before they both died due to whatever overfreezing is called, because for some reason it's not in my brain right now, hypothermia, I think, Hilda broke the spell. As Hilda watched Ruby drag Kellen's unconscious form through the cold, Hilda felt something she hadn't felt in a long time. Compassion. Specifically for the two kids who were so brave. So, she kissed them on the forehead and broke the spell that was freezing their tushes off. She brought them into her little castle, offered them food. They didn't really want to take it, specifically Ruby. Kellen stuffed himself full of food, and they were like, thank you for your help. We need your crown to give to Lord Talion. And Hilda's like, what? And they tell her the whole story about how Talion is going to break the wicked slumber once they have all the artifacts that they need. And Hilda's like, Lord Talion needed the three of us to start the wicked slumber. And they're super confused. And she's like, take my icy crown to prove that you've beaten me in battle, but don't trust Talion. He is not the man that you think he is. So they take her crown, go back to Talion's realm. Kellen's like, why did you start the wicked slumber? And Talion's like, great, you talked to Hilda. But you've brought me her crown, proving to me that you have beaten her in battle. Go defeat Ariette now. Bye. And he poofs out of existence again, and Kellen and Ruby are forced to beat Ariette without the answers that they want so desperately in order to know why the wicked slumber was created. But now they have to defeat Ariette in order to stop it, even though they're using the guy who created it to stop it, which is a bit strange. Never gets explained, by the way. But now we transition to the climax of the story. They're in Ruby and Kellen find their way back into Ardenvale, into Castle Ardenvale, where Ariette and, what's-her-name are, Rowan are. All of a sudden, Will comes in with Imidane, who now has a wooden arm, and all of his forces. They, to put it simply, force Ashiok to poof out of there, and, Rowan to use her lightning to shoot up into nowhere. She just shoots out of there, and Ariette surrenders herself. Gives Will her glass apple, and Ariette is defeated. But Will, after all of that happened, goes to Ruby, and Kellen says, I've been told that you need this apple. And they take the apple from him, and he thanks them for all their help in stopping the wicked slumber, and they will be welcomed throughout all the kingdoms as great heroes that saved their home, and thank you for all your help. So then Ariette gets locked up. Kellen and Ruby give Talion the glass apple. He says, you have successfully stopped the wicked slumber. The realm thanks you. Now, Kellen, as payment for what you have done on your adventure, I will tell you who your father is. And Kellen's like, no, I'll have my mother tell me who my father is. And he poofs out of Talion's realm once and for all. And so him and Ruby depart ways. Ruby goes back to her brother. Kellen goes back to his home and asks his mother, who is my father? And she says, Oko. Oko is Kellen's father? I actually didn't see this coming. I probably should have, because Oko is a fairy planeswalker, and Kellen is half fairy. And it was so built up that, like, who is Kellen's father? I should have seen that it was Oko, who we still haven't seen at all. But whatever. Kellen then walks through the forest knowing who his father is. And, well, this portal opens up. This triangular portal that looks very similar to one in the art of a card from March of the Machine Aftermath. And he walks through it on his next extraordinary journey, where maybe his father is, maybe there's a meeting in the Planeswalkers, who knows? Leave a comment down below. But before that, you gotta talk about Ariette. She's in her cell, rotting away for life. But then, Ashiok appears in her cell, says, do you want to get out of here and rule a kingdom far, far away from here? And Ariette's like, sure, as long as it's out of this cell. And then Ashiok takes her to a new kingdom. And without Ariette's knowing of it, in a realm far, far away from Eldraine. But with all that aside, thank you for watching, everybody. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Leave a comment down below talking about what you think is going on with the triangular portal thing. And with all that aside, thank you for watching. Have a great rest of your day. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button. It's completely free. You won't regret it. And with all that aside, see you next time, everybody.